Okay, you guys, let's do this. It's going to be so professional. Like, so professional. Here we go. Welcome to the Live Support Podcast with your hosts, Michele VanDusen and June Colson, a couple of clean comedians who support each other and others through comedy's wacky and winding roads. I hope you're ready. Get set. Let's go. Since podcasts have a catchy tune, we wrote this song for Michele and June. Clean comedians are best friends too. Oh, it's so good. And you never know what they'll say or do. Here we go, sing with me on Live Support. With Michele, who's really short. We'll have a ball. With June, who's really tall. They have fun, interviewing comedians on Live Support. With Michele, who's really short. Now it's time to start Live Support.
The Live Support Podcast is brought to you by the Hot Breath Comedy Network.
Wow, give yourself a round of applause. Woo! That was magic. Welcome to the multi-award-winning Laugh Support Podcast. I am your host, June Colson, here with Michele with one L, Trisha's sister, Rhonda Colson, Corey's friend. Do not call me Shelly, Michele VanDusen. Yeah, you showed off the lettering there, Michele.
Yep,
now.
that's right.
Buttercup, I've already named this episode.
Okay.
It's all the T's. It's pterodactyls, teeth, tornadoes, and travel. That's what we're talking about today is traveling and pterodactyls and teeth and tornadoes. So we're going with multiple T today.
What does the pterodactyls have to do? Are you just calling me old? Is that what this is? Are you calling me old? And then I have big teeth. What's going on?
No, we'll get to the pterodactyls in a moment. But hey, okay. So you've been on the road, VanDusen, not for a comedy gig, but for a family gig. So where have you been? What have you been up to?
Well, actually, it was a family gig. My siblings were out of town. The ones that primarily take care of my dad, and since he doesn't have a caretaker on the weekends, I went to hang out with my dad this past weekend, which was so much fun. It ended up becoming a comedy event because he and I did so many dad jokes. So I'm just going to apologize now for those that subscribe to my channel. You're going to be slaughtered. There's so many dad jokes are coming forward, videos just from him and I sitting there doing dad jokes. Some are really funny, of course, and some are horrible because that's how dad jokes work. So that's what I did. I drove up to Chicago, spent the weekend with my dad, and I'm back. So
I've never met your dad, but I've never felt so close to someone in my life as I did watching videos of his reactions to your wonderful jokes that you share with our listeners here on the Laugh Support Podcast at the end of every single episode. And we can't thank you enough for that, Michele. So now your dad, your sweet elderly father, who I think it's biblical to respect your elders and be good to them. And I'm not really sure. I can't. Okay. So I used to do a thing called pun ambush.
Yes, you did.
I ambushed my dad several times.
Yeah, you did.
He was really fun though. Most people had like groan reactions to the pun ambush, but Dad was always kind of on board with it. He would always play along. So I definitely felt your dad's pain. So so you drove from Oklahoma, all the way to like outside of Chicago. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Tell us about the weather on that trip.
Oh my land! Driving there, it was horrendous because it rained the entire time. Not just rain, but thunderstorms. Like it's one thing if you're just driving through drizzle or nice. No, it was the weekend of all the tornadoes that was destroying the Midwest, from Oklahoma to Ohio or something. Like it was a crazy weekend, and I had this little window of drive time. The little window, it was 10 hours, but ended up being longer because of the rain, because it slows you down. And so it was not a fun drive, but it was very safe. We just got to watch out for, and it was that kind that if the semi trucks are driving past you and then the splatter back from the rain, then it becomes a whiteout. It's like, oh, this is awful. I found out two things. One, if you wear polarized sunglasses, even though it's storming, you can see better. That's one thing because
Yeah.
polarized, like when my dad and I used to fish, he'd always have polarized glasses. I'm like, what's the deal? And it was because he could see through the water. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh, I should try that. Sure enough, that helped so much. And then another thing that helps sometimes, if you have your GPS centered right, or your camera on your phone, kind of cuts through the glare of crazy rain and like that snow too. So
Yeah.
rain and snow, but you can't be driving with your camera, holding your phone kind of thing. So you have to have it stationary. If it's
Yeah.
there, then it's safe because then you can kind of like see both things. Anyway, polarized sunglasses. That's my tip for driving.
Yeah, I remember one time literally driving through a snowstorm to Indiana, and I was so grateful because this is when GPS and all of that stuff. I think it was called a TomTom, maybe
Yeah.
that we had before. It was before it's on your phone and all of that, and just being able to anticipate that there were curves coming up and where I was going because I really couldn't see that far ahead of me, but being able to just kind of see in my peripheral vision that there was some curves and things like that. Do you feel like the trip, like, did it feel like it took longer, or did it feel like it went faster because you were so like focused and in the zone because you had to be because of the weather?
Oh, it took longer. And I was in my car, not my mother-in-law's car, because my mother-in-law's car is newer. And so if you want to listen to the radio or things like that, you can hear it.
Yeah.
So in my old car, you can't hear anything but the noise of the rain and the
Mm.
road and all that. So it felt longer. But here's the cool thing. From my house, I drove through Missouri, then up through Illinois, and stop at Buc-ee's,
Mhm.
that fill up with gas. And then from there, it was just under 400 miles, I'm not quite sure, to Wally's in Illinois.
Mm.
And then so I filled up at Buc-ee's, and then I got to fill up at Wally's, and then I got to my dad's house, right?
So what is a
So,
Wally's?
oh, okay. So um, Wally's is like Buc-ee's, but it's Wally, and they call it the Great American Road Trip or something. So when you walk into a Wally's, it smells like popcorn. So like popcorn is their big thing there. And the only thing I was a little disappointed going into Wally's because one, their bathrooms are not as clean as Buc-ee's. That's one strike against. But here's a positive: Wally's has the things where you can clean your windshield off. The squeegee thingies there.
Yeah.
Whereas Buc-ee's, they don't have that. You got to go to another location on their property to go clean off your windows. It's weird. It's just weird to
Huh.
me. I
I
don't
don't
know
think
why
I've
they
ever
do that.
noticed that before, but I'm not somebody who still cleans a windshield. Also, I am still listening to what you're saying, but every time you kind of settle into your chair, you look
Yeah.
like you have bunny ears because the butterfly above you sits perfectly above your headphones. And I am just looking right there. You have bunny ears. Like the whole time you're talking to me, that's all I can see. Like
There
I
we
love your beautiful butterfly in the background, but it's now bunny ears. And because of my attention issues, there we go. Oh,
go. There we go.
it's so centered. It was so centered over your head. So,
Yeah, I think maybe I should have Ross move it up a little higher now that that's a thing, or I could just scoot back. No, we'll move
no,
now.
it's perfectly centered above your
Is
head.
it?
For the folks that are listening to the Laugh Support podcast, if you go on YouTube and watch us, you'll see butterfly bunny ears. That's beautiful. It looks like you have a butterfly headband on because of your headphones.
Because well, it's springtime. Okay, so this is what I did buy at Wally's. It's a little drink koozie, whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway, because I love Smileys, and it says Wally's is my happy place, but I got it because of this on this side. So I thought that was a lot of fun. Um, and then of course at Buc-ee's I bought chocolate, which Wally's didn't have chocolate. Like, and what I mean by they don't have chocolate, like they have it in trail mix and things like that.
Right.
They don't have like their own special brand
Yeah.
of, so that's
Oh yeah, Bucky's has fudge and so I have a Bucky's I can be at Bucky's in 7 minutes. It's right down the street from my house. Like it's right down the road. My whole family now you basically, it used to be like, hey, let us know when you're in E-Town, because that would be an hour. That's Elizabethtown for people not from Kentucky. So we would be like, hey, let us know when you hit E-Town, because that means I have about an hour before my family would get here. So if I'm not home, I've got an hour to get home. Now it's only 7 minutes from my house, but now it's just, let us know when you get to Buc-ee's. When people are coming from Indiana here, because then I have about an hour, but because they don't have one down the street. They love Buc-ee's. Everybody goes and gets beaver nuggets and all that mess. But Jason and I will do that for our dinner sometimes. We'll just, especially when it's pretty weather, we've got a little sports car. We'll hop in it, cruise around a little bit, and then we'll go to Buc-ee's, fill up with gas, and we'll grab a barbecue sandwich and go home. Like that's a date night for old people.
Now, I do have to say though, Wally's has like these cinnamon rolls and things like that. They're the size of your head.
Nice.
Yeah, they're huge. So if I was inclined to want to put myself in a diabetic comatose or something, I would have bought one of those.
That's a good place to be. Well, I'm glad you got there safe and back. Your travel home was prettier weather. Did you write anything? Did you observe things that maybe in the future? Because I mean, that's go and stand with your elderly dad for a few days. Life is different when we get to our age and we're spending time. Did you find any material out of it while you were there, either the travel or the time that you were with your family? Because our families are funny,
Yeah, they are. No, I just did like 90 videos of my dad and I doing dad jokes. That's it.
Yeah.
And then my one brother did stop in, so he got in on it a couple times. In fact, if you go to my YouTube channel right now, you can watch one of the videos. I think they call it going viral or something, because there's like 36,000 views so far.
Yeah.
And it has my brother in it, and it says so I'm doing these Hey Dad videos, and the title of that one is Brother Snorts.
Yes.
He snorted at the joke, and it's just a dad joke. Anyway, so
it's crazy what like you could spend 3 hours creating a 45-second video and edit it and do all of these things to it. And we're like, man, that was really funny. I'm so proud of this video. Nothing happens.
right.
And then you can do a video that doesn't make any sense, but it's just like, well, it's, something to put out there. And that's the one that 36,000 people are like, this is awesome. I love it. So
yeah.
Cool, well, I mean, that's cool that he's forever a part of your comedy and on your platform and all that stuff. So that's super fun.
Yeah, so we had a good time. Okay, so that was my travel. Now, I know you did some traveling this past week or so. Tell us a little bit about the ups and downs of that.
Yeah, mostly downs. I love, Michelle, that okay, so for our regular listeners, we've been out for a couple of weeks, and we intended to be out for 1 week for spring break. But life had other plans that we weren't aware was coming down the pike. You're like, hey, do you want to record? We could talk about taxes, which sounded super fun. Or we could talk about you being in the hospital, which is even more fun. But yeah, so I, for the first time, had to cancel events that I was booked to be on. 2 events that I was very excited about. One was the Funny and Amen April Fool's Day show in Philadelphia. I was super hype about that. I was going to get to work with our friend Marty Simpson. Marty was one of my first mentors and somebody I learned to write from. And I haven't got to see him in a few years and was super hype about that. And Kevin Hackenberg puts on this show and it's live and it's just really cool. I was booked to go there. And then from there, I was going to be flying into Providence and I was going to be a part of the Boston Comedy Festival with the Funny Together tour. And I was coming from Florida. So I had flown to Florida and on a Monday or on a Tuesday, but Monday night, I started having some pressure, some pain in my face, in my lower teeth. And I have a lot of issues with my teeth. My stress, trauma in my life, things of that nature have always come out since I was a child in gritting of my teeth and clenching. I clench all the time. If I'm concentrating on something, I clench, all of that. So I've had pressure before. I've actually had broken teeth from where I bite so hard. I've done the Botox injections to try and keep my jaws more relaxed at night. Not Botox, it makes me look better. Just Botox, it makes me not bite down as hard. Fun fact, insurance doesn't pay for that. So every time it's like 400 and something bucks a pop for 3 months, 4 months of relief. So, you know, it's costly. So, I started having this pain on Monday night, got up to fly on Tuesday morning. On the way to the airport, I told my husband, I was like, man, I hope this just eases up. I hope it, you know, doesn't progress. That was Tuesday flying. By Tuesday night, I was really starting to get uncomfortable. Wednesday, the pain had started to take off. By Thursday, I was in excruciating pain. Went to an urgent dental clinic. They were like, yeah, you've got infection and, you know, you need a root canal or need a tooth removed. But there was so much infection already that they were like, we need to go ahead and get you on antibiotic. Anybody who's had a root canal knows that, like, if you have infection in there, it's very difficult for them to numb you. Really difficult. And so he sent me back home with an antibiotic. About had a complete meltdown. I will say the Publix at Holmes Beach, I am grateful to the pharmacist at the Publix because everything shuts down. All the pharmacies now are closed. You know, if you have any kind of issue that you need medication for, you better hope you have your emergency like before 5 or 6 o'clock in the evening. It's ridiculous because everybody shuts down. So we got to the pharmacy at like 7:58 and it closes at 8. And like, I went in with my prescription for the antibiotic, like needing relief so bad. I literally, it was to the point where I was starting to have issues with swallowing. And the pharmacist was like, we close in 2 minutes. And I'm telling you, I'm not an emotional, like, you know me. Tears start flowing. And so much pain. I'm just standing there. And he goes, what do you have? And I showed him and he goes, let me lock the door. So he locks the door and he goes, I'll fill it for you. And I was like, thank you so much. And I'm standing there, you know, Jason's doing all the talking at this point because literally it hurt to move my face. I was in so much pain. And so he ends up filling the prescription. And then, like, even in all the pain, I see Jason put cash on the counter. And my brain was like, no, not cash. He's trying to close. You know, the drawer was already closed out. And the guy just took a deep breath. And I go, I'm sorry. Can he just tap his card? And he's like, no, it's too late, you know, because he had already ran out his cash. So my husband was like, it's fine. Just keep the change. And when I tell you that pharmacist, his eyes lit up and he was like, I will not. Absolutely not. So I need to look it up, but I'm pretty sure by his reaction, it's probably illegal for a pharmacist to take a tip. And he did not take a tip. I will tell you that much. So there happened to be somebody in the back and had some change and they were able to work it out to, you know, give us the change. So I started the antibiotic that night. I had called home. I had called my dentist. I had called my doctor's office, but I kept getting their staff and not directly to the doctor. So no help. No one was sending me antibiotics. Nobody, because I was telling them, I'm like, I know what's happening. No pain medicine, no antibiotics. Fortunately, I have a friend in healthcare who's a nurse practitioner who, you know, helped me out, got some pain medication at least where I literally would sleep in like 10-minute increments and then I would be right back up just over and over. So, yeah, this is super fun. It's a fun story, guys. Super fun comedy story.
But I do have to say, you are at the beach. So if you're going to suffer, I think suffering at the beach is probably the best place. Okay. All right. So you're in pain. You got your antibiotics. You're at the beach.
Yeah, I don't make it to the beach. That's what's even worse. My husband had rented me a golf cart so I could cruise around while he was at, you know, he works for a company that has a factory close to Holmes Beach. And so I was just going to be writing and preparing for the next few shows and those kind of things. But no, now I'm at the beach, but can't go to the beach. The
Aw.
house has a pool behind it. Can't even go outside. Like, I'm just doing everything I can to breathe, honestly. We are supposed to fly out Sunday morning at like 7 a.m. Saturday night, it was to the point where I couldn't swallow anymore. The infection
Oh.
had basically taken over the whole side of my head. I looked like a bullfrog. Like, my normal double chin was now like 4 chins.
I'm glad you
There
didn't
was
croak.
literally, I was going to croak if I didn't get help. And I didn't
Aw.
realize how serious it was, but I remember
Yeah.
going and like looking in the mirror and seeing literally a pocket of infection. I know, sorry friends for the graphic description, underneath my chin. The infection had run all the way across that side of my face, up behind my ear.
Mm.
Like, I still, my temple is still tender to touch the side of my face. There was so much infection. So we're supposed to fly out at like 7 in the morning, but at midnight, my husband was like, enough, because I couldn't get water down. And he was like, enough. So we went to the ER. They did a CAT scan. You could see the infection had taken over. And the ER doctor's like, yeah, you're not flying. Like, we need to get you on IV antibiotics right away.
Mhm.
I mean, the pain was excruciating. They gave me 2 doses of morphine. It did nothing. Not even remotely took the edge off.
Wow.
It kept amping up more and more. They did a 3rd pain medication. It finally took the edge off. They're like, we've got to admit you. We're going to have an oral surgeon come in, whatever. So then they were like, hey, we'll put you in the hallway. That way you can lay down on a bed. We've got like a transport bed in the hall. You can at least get laid down. And the pain medicine was starting to kick in, not in a way that made me fall asleep. I was really hoping for that, because I've been sleep deprived really since Monday night.
Mhm.
And this is now Saturday.
Wow.
They put me on this bed in the hallway, and my husband at my feet in a chair. And they were taking such good care of me. But then there was a shooting at the park
Ugh.
in town, like 3 teenagers. And it was all hands on deck. They brought 2 of them there. One of the boys passed away. Like, all of this is happening around me. And it's like time for more pain medicine and that kind of stuff. But it's not like I can say anything. You know what I mean? I'm like, they're dealing with so much. All the families had showed up at the ER, not knowing where their kids were. I mean, it was so chaotic all the way around. And so we were kind of setting through that while I was at the ER. They finally were like, one of the nurses kind of came through and realized, oh my gosh, she's been sitting out here this whole time during this thing. So they got another dose of pain medicine for me. And she's like, I'm going to find a spot for you. So they literally kind of pushed me to the side in some holding area, which by the next morning had filled up. There was nobody there. And they ended up having to open a whole other station or whatever. Saw a couple specialists. ER doctor took really good care of me. And they were like, the oral surgeon was like, we need to get you home to a specialist there. That way you can get treated there and get home versus trying to fly afterwards and all that mess. So we were trying to fly home. We got a flight out at like 9 o'clock at night.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, okay, we'll get you ready. We'll give you your last, we'll give you a dose of pain meds right before you leave so you can get on the plane so you can get home. Remember those storms you were driving through, Michelle, that you were talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah. They got me my pain meds. They got me ready to go out the door. And we got a message that said, no flight tonight.
Oh, man.
It was canceled.
So, like, everything that could go wrong right now in this supposed to be relaxing trip at the beach so you can write and prepare for some shows, it's all going south, basically.
Yes.
This is not good. This is not good. So what happened?
My ever resourceful husband just got us into a hotel like 3 minutes from the airport, as close as he could possibly get to the airport. They sent me home with, they went ahead and gave him the prescriptions to go ahead and get pain medication for me so that he could go get that and have it ready before a pharmacy closed. And so we ended up just going and staying at a hotel. the thing was that they could have kept me all night, because our flight now was the first flight out at 6 o'clock in the morning, which means we needed to be at the airport about 4:45 to return our rental car. And we had rental cars in between that had to be dropped off, picked. I mean, it was just a spiral of, things out of control. But I will say my husband he's just very good when it comes to a crisis type situation.
Yeah.
He made sure I was taken care of. He, made sure that he could do everything he could possibly to make me comfortable. And I know it was difficult for him too, because I find myself to be a pretty tough person. I am not an emotional person. I'm not a teary-eyed person. And he had watched me for 2 days be in excruciating pain. The ER doctor was like, you are almost to the point of your airway closing off. Like there's no going back from that. Like, it was so dangerous. And that was really scary. That was really scary for my husband. So we get the flight out the next morning. He had been in contact with my dentist at home. My dentist at home had contacted a specialist in Nashville, and literally our plane landed and they texted me and they were like, "Where are you at? We'll get you in right now." And I was 9 minutes away from the specialist, from his office.
Wow.
Yeah. So shout out to Dr. Wright in Goodlettsville, Tennessee. Him and his staff, they were so kind, so good. I mean, I just mentally drained, physically drained. Dr. Wright got me right in that I'm done. There you go, Michelle.
So when things go wrong, make sure you contact Dr. Wright.
That's right. That's right. So they attempted, and then he saw all the stuff or whatever. And he was like, "I don't mean to be like morbid or scary." And he's like, "But I think he had said in the years that he's practiced, he's known of 2 patients that have died, that's infection had taken off farther, than mine." And I mean, you think about it, like I saw the scan. I could see it as they wheeled me out. I could see it. All the way across my face and the hole underneath of my face. And I literally physically could see my chin. Drama, so much drama.
Ugh.
So they attempted a root canal, could not fully do that. The antibiotics had helped, but there was still so much infection that basically they just kind of went in and cleaned everything out. And then, so now I'm packed with antibiotics, literally like in my jaw and all that. So next week I get to go back and I get to do it all over again. But wait, there's more.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I get home. I've got the pain medication, all that stuff. And I remember asking the lady, I'm like, "Do I need to do like an ice pack or, whatever?" She's like, "Oh no, you're going to feel so much better." She's like, "You'll have a couple days where you feel like you've been kicked by a donkey, but after that, this is going to give you so much relief." But the whole side of my head still hurting, lightning pain going through my ear. I'm like, not better. What is going on? So I end up at my general practitioner's office. Dr. Mayfield is a rock star. And now my eardrum, because of all the flying and the fluid and infection, my eardrum was bulging. And I would get worried that my eardrum's going to rupture because there had been so much infection for so long, so much pressure on my ear. So I end up with a steroid shot. And then, her recommendation to be on antibiotics longer because of just how bad it was, and, all of that, and the fact that I have another procedure coming up. So, but it doesn't stop there. You want more, Michelle? Do you think our listeners can handle more?
Wait, but there's more? No way. Okay. So it's a good thing that you didn't have like any more extra flights, because you would have been Pennsylvania and then Boston, like you would have done all these other things, and your ear was bulging, like it could have burst, like so much. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And I went back and forth because I was like, okay, they did the root canal, because literally the morning we landed, I was supposed to be on a flight that night to Philly to do a show the next day. And I messaged like from my hospital bed, the producer, and, was like giving her an update. so kind. Like,
Okay.
they could have been like, they could have been any kind of way about me reaching out and saying, "Here's what's going on." But when I tell you, this sweet lady literally sends me an audio recording of her praying over me
Oh, wow.
while I was in the hospital. And I was so frustrated, so sick, so sleep deprived, so broken. Like, I replied, like, "You have no idea how much I needed that, like, how much that means to me." Um, she doesn't know me. We've never met. We've had conversations about this particular show, you know, and some people, I mean, like I said, people can be any kind of way they wanna be if you have to cancel a show. I don't even really know how people act because I don't cancel shows. I still show up. I've had crazy tragedy in my life, still showed up and did the show, but I physically could not do it. Like, I was in
Yeah.
such a dangerous position. So, I canceled that flight. Then I was supposed to do the show with Rhonda, Funny
Mhm.
Together. And I was thinking, okay, if I feel a little bit better, I'm still gonna, and I down to the wire, I just kept waiting. And then to find out like what kind of shape my eardrum was in and all of that stuff. It would have been horrible if I had shown
Yeah.
and that ruptured, and like there's no way she could focus on a show she's producing if I'm writhing in pain and now my husband has to, come, come to meet me in Rhode Island. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it could have been crazy, but I'm so fortunate that Rhonda, Funny Together tour, and Kevin and Rachel at Funny and Amen, they were just so supportive and so kind, and they made that the last thing that I had to worry about. You know what I mean?
Good. Yeah. That's really important because when you do have to cancel something for unforeseen events like this, it really it doesn't just mess up you and your schedule and your
Mhm.
finances kind of a thing. It also messes up whoever's hosting the show or things
Yeah,
like that. So, and typically when when you're not sick, you try to find someone to fill your space. But
right.
here, there was no way that you could handle any of that kind of information or handle. I'm actually kind of curious when you said that you were texting and messaging and you were on morphine. How did those messages look? Or was your husband actually trying to interpret and doing all the things there? Because I don't think I would have been I wouldn't have been able to message anybody if I had all that happening. You're
I
a
didn't
rock
do a
star.
whole lot of messaging. Morphine, like I said, it did nothing for me.
Yeah.
And the other medication just basically took the edge off where I could relax a little bit.
Hmm.
So I had enough like energy to like try to send some messages and get that off my mind. But like, who knows? I should probably go back and look at them. I could have written the most crazy gibberish, and maybe they were like, "We hate you, you suck." And in my brain, they were so sweet and prayed for me. I don't know. They really
They
were
were
so,
so nice.
yeah, they were so very kind. But yeah, that's, it happens. We're not superhuman. It's comedy. And she was like, everybody did a little extra time for you, and which is really sweet, but also you're welcome, comedians, because we
Yeah.
love being told, we needed you to do 10, but could you do 12 or 15? We needed you to do 30. Could you do 40? Like, unless you're a headliner and someone's taking advantage, if you're doing a showcase and you get a couple extra minutes, that's fun. That's fun. So, I wanted to watch the show. Um, but I was so
Yeah.
out of it. And then, okay, so here's where the pterodactyls come in.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I wanna know about these birds or
Yeah,
these
pterodactyls.
dinosaurs. Yeah.
Pterodactyls and tornadoes. So I get home, right? Now I've had this procedure. I'm in pain again. Got the donkey kick on the face. Everybody's like, you need to rest, you need to relax. So the best place for me to sleep or attempt to sleep is on the couch because I set up straight, right? So
Yeah.
I'm going to set up on the couch and try to sleep. My husband goes to work because he's been gone. He works for a ministry here in town. And so he goes to work. And there is straight up what sounds like a pterodactyl in my kitchen.
Wait, what? No,
Yeah.
in the house? No. No,
It's
no, no,
yeah.
no.
So my
No.
dog's going nuts. I'm like looking for a bird. And then I realize it's coming from the air vent above my stove. And it is, there's a bird that is nested up there. And it is flying around inside, like on the roof, but it sounds like it's in the kitchen because it's just a vent tunnel that comes all the way down. Now there's a mesh screen where it can't get all the way into the kitchen, but you can hear them like stuck up in there and screeching, and it sounds like I've audio recorded it because this isn't like tweet tweet. This is screeching like an owl or a pterodactyl. And so when my husband got home and he looked out back, it's giant birds. This isn't like a baby bird. There's a giant bird up there that is inside. So now he's got to get a ladder, get on the roof, but then the tornadoes come. And we were under tornado warnings and watches for like 48 hours. All night long, my family in Indiana were in the path of a tornado. My son and his fiance, they were in a path in Nashville. We had to hunker down several times. Like it was, so they're like, go home and rest. There's tornadoes and pterodactyls and my tooth is killing me. And everybody's like, get some sleep, get some rest.
They say it's the terrible threes, you know, so you got 3 T's. It's 3 terrible things. Wow. Oh, that's awful. I don't like flying things in my house.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. My parents, the house that I grew up in, we had a fireplace in the living room, and there was, I don't know, I think a raccoon or something ate the screening. So then birds got in there. So now there's a bird, and I'm glad that they had the glass closure in front of the fireplace. So now there's a bird just smacking against the thing. And I'm like, I don't know how to tell it to go back up, up and out. So I try to catch it. So when I opened the door, I didn't catch it because it, when you open they fold. And so then there's this triangle, but there's 2 of them, and it shot straight up, and another 2 hours of just trying to catch a bird to get it out. So the fact that it's in your kitchen, like above, and they're big ones. Oh, so are they still there? Are they gone?
Still there.
What happened?
They're still there. Yeah. So we had, pouring down rain and storms and all that stuff. So now it's pretty enough for him to get up on the roof. But we've, I forgot to tell you this too. After I had the procedure in Nashville, we had a closing on a property scheduled here in Bowling Green. So we're going to have to cancel it. But I'm like, okay, they said the pain medication would last, for a little while. So that should be enough for me to get in and sign the paperwork, right? When I tell you, about the time we walked through the door at the attorney's office, it was like it all wore off. So now I'm looking like death, and they're talking and cutting up at the table. And I was already like, there will be no small talk. I don't know the man who bought the property. I mean, other than it's an, real estate investor dude bought a piece of property off of. The whole time I was just with my pen, like, shut up.
Let's go.
I'm dying. And I was just trying. I'm such a people pleaser. I was just trying to get through the moment. And then my husband was like, well, let's go ahead and drop the check off at the bank. And he says to the woman, hey, we have a business account here, but like, we'd like to open a personal checking eventually. And she was like, well, I got a minute if you want to come do that real quick. An hour later, we finally finished. I was dying. And then I come home to pterodactyls and tornadoes. So I'm exhausted.
Oh my gosh. And so like, why does it take so long at the bank to open an account? Why does it take so long to purchase a car at the dealership? Like, why are you holding me hostage here? Yeah. Just sign some papers and let's go on. You don't have to talk me through it. I've done it. I've been there. Let's just sign and go. Come on, people.
You could tell Jason, he felt so bad because he really was just kind of like, who would help with that? And then the lady was like, oh yeah, and he thought, well, I mean, it'll take 5-10 minutes. We already have an account with them. No. And then when we got to the car, you could see like the guilt on his face. And he's like, I'm so sorry. I didn't know it was going to take that long. Are you okay? And I'm like, no, I'm not okay. Nothing in my life is okay right now. Like, and then we ordered a couch for the bonus room upstairs. And like a couple nights into the pain, I sat up in the middle of the night and I was like, okay, I got to think of positive things. Like what's something positive I can think about right now? Cause all I'm thinking about is pain. And then I go, a couch. We get a new couch tomorrow and I'm excited about the couch. And I started imagining like what I'm going to decorate with them, where the pieces are going to go. And like, just to try to like mentally check out of the pain that I was in. I'm so excited, whatever. Girl. The next day they show up to deliver the couch. And the guys who came to deliver the couch didn't seem to be the most focused individuals on the planet. And they were like, well, sorry, it won't fit. And I'm like,
Pivot.
They try exactly. They try one piece and they're like, yeah, it's way too big. And I'm like, it's not the couch, because this is going to the bonus room. I'm like, the couch in my living room is twice that size. And the movers had that couch upstairs until I told them it's not. No, it stays downstairs. There was miscommunication, but I know that whole couch in my living room could fit upstairs. This is half the size of that couch. And they were like, well, this has a sofa bed in it. I'm like, the weight isn't the difference, right? It's the length, right? So the one thing that I was hanging on to all night of like positive things is I was like, yay, I have a couch coming. It don't fit. But I will say this, shout out to Trey's girlfriend. I don't say their names on here because I never know how they would feel about it. But shout out to Trey's girlfriend, because she messaged to check on me. And then she was like, if you need anything, I'm in town this weekend, whatever. And then the next message I get is, I know you would never ask for anything, so I'm just coming over anyway. And she had put together a whole goodie bag. So sweet. Everything in it is pink, Michelle. She hasn't seen my office. She hasn't seen the painting. She hasn't seen any of that stuff. Everything was pink, right? So there's like, I think the cards are back here. Hold on.
Okay.
There's like a deck of cards that are like promises from God for women. And I think it's just like little cards that you pull out and it has a different verse or blessing or whatever on it. She got me a puzzle because she was like, if you just sit still and, whatever. There's a crossword puzzle that she got me that is it's different psalms. And so it's like it's written the whole psalm on the left side, and it has certain words in bold letters, and that's what you search for on the other side. So it's it's like this beautiful little biblical word search. She got me a book, all things to like sit still, right? She got me a book. And then you'll love this. She got me a little bunny. It's little bricks. It's like little Legos or whatever. I mean, I know how you feel about generic Legos, Michelle. But there's that. What do you have? Is that a squirrel? You got a squirrel?
It is. It's a squirrel
and a tree.
And a chick. It's supposed to be like a teeter-totter thing.
Oh, cute.
Yeah. So
well, this isn't the only bunny she got me. She also got me one of those bunnies that you twist, right? And it hops across the table like a little wind-up bunny, little fuzzy wind-up bunny. And so we're in the living room. She hands me all these things. I open up the bunny and I wind it up and it hops across my coffee table, and I get Reggie's attention, my dog. I'm like, Reggie, look, thinking like he's going to freak out when he sees it jumping, right? And when I tell you, he looked over his shoulder like, whatever, like he could care less, right? So then I say to Trey's girlfriend, I go, oh my gosh, let me show you, because she hadn't been to the new house. I said, let me show you my office. All this stuff is pink. It'll look so pretty in my pink office. So we come down the hall. I show her the pink stuff. I set down the gift she gives me, come back around the corner. And I'm like, did the bunny jump off the table? Because its little plastic feet were on the ground. Oh, and I was like, that's odd. And I look up and I see her face. And she's just cracking up. And I turn and look, and Reggie is standing there with that bunny in his mouth. He bit into it where it scraped his gums. So where there was blood on the bunny.
Oh, no.
And I go, Reggie. And he just went, bleh. and he spit it on the floor. Like, what? She brought me this sweet little gift, and Reggie killed the bunny. It was a bloody bunny on the floor. We weren't down this hallway more than 10 seconds, and that dog, who acted like he could care less, when I had like shown him it jumping, he was like, whatever. Sure enough, that dog killed the bunny. He killed the bounty.
Wow.
So yeah, don't let him fool you. I thought I had him pegged. I thought he knew what his attitude was, but apparently he really didn't like that bunny very much.
That's funny. That's very funny. So it sounds like you're able to get some comedy out of this tragedy. And yet it's more tragedy for the bunny. Wow, June, this was a great episode.
Well, no, though, I want to apologize. This isn't even really a laugh support episode. This is just therapy. This is just me letting Michele know all of the things that have happened to me in the last couple of weeks. But I told you the master class that you gave me, and I wish I could remember who the speaker was, but I love that he opened up with, I feel sorry for people who aren't writers, especially not comedy writers, because when something bad happens to most people, it's just something bad that happened.
Yeah.
But for the rest of us who write comedy, it ends up being a pretty good story. So you do have to try to find the funny. I was looking around at all the funny stuff. Like at some point they were like, she needs to have a gown on, at the hospital. And like a nurse's aide came in, and I had on like leggings and a tank top, like just kind of sports clothes.
Yeah.
And she made me put my arms in it. Right. So now I'm just, it's more like they just gave me an apron. Like I don't she was just kind of like, well, slide your arms in this, and like it was all these like little things that were unfolding. So I tried to focus on what was funny or what was different or whatever. But yeah, eventually we'll extract some humor out of this terrible situation that I found myself in. So yeah, next week, right before Easter, I get to go in and attempt the second part of the procedure. And my prayer is that, we're better. We feel better. But I'm grateful. I'm grateful for a lot of really sweet people that were in my path. Super grateful for my son, Ty, and his fiance checking in on me, and Trey's girlfriend bringing me a gift, and my other Trey. I have another Trey in my life, who's been around. It's Trey's best buddy. He mowed the yard. He kept the dog, just, and at one point, I will say this, at one point I got a text message. Jason was messaging friends for me because he saw it on my phone, and he was letting people know, because you all know I was in the hospital. At a certain point, he just became really emotional and said, my gosh, you have such amazing friends. And I do. I didn't have that before in my life. I haven't always had that in my life. So to just be a little serious for a second, I haven't always had that in my life. And I have a tip of the day for people today. But before we get to that, I would give tip of the week, but I would give this tip is find good, solid friends who pray for you, because life is tough, and having people who have faith and truly pray, that's all the difference in the world. So I'm so grateful. I'm grateful to all of our comedy girlfriends who have become the best friends I have in my whole life, for reaching out, you, Michele, for everybody who was just kind of checking in on me in that journey. I wasn't, necessarily on my deathbed, but like literally the specialist was like, I hope you know how grateful you should be to the ER doctor, because had he sent you home, this could be a really, really bad day. So yeah, I survived.
Yeah. And see, I'm just realizing I didn't clearly text you enough. I was trying to give you your space, but I was praying here. But as you're telling the story and how you have, just all the infection.
Oh yeah.
In my head, and this is why maybe your least favorite friend. In my head, all I heard was pause pocket.
Yes. Ooh. No, we should never use that word. No one wants to hear that word. Ew. Yuck.
Right, but that's all I kept thinking of.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry.
I will tell you at that closing, I didn't know this man and I was in so much pain and my face was so swollen and they were talking about everything that was going on. And I remember looking at the guy across the table and I go, this is not my face. This is not my face. This was much more than my face. I have a big head, but this isn't me.
Aren't you glad during this weekend that all this was happening and you're in the hospital that no one like recognized you? Because as a comedian and, and I'm going to say up and coming comedian that you are, because, you're hitting all the stages, except the two that you missed. Aren't you happy knowing that no one recognized you? Because that to me would have been just like worse. Because you're like,
well, and it's probably good that, that I wasn't in a hospital at home and things like that, because I am so accommodating that even in like excruciating pain, I'm still going to be nice and friendly and talk to people. And I just didn't have it in me. But no, I've always said, like, when people are like, oh, you're going to be famous, I always said, I hope not. Like, that's not a goal for me to be recognized. I love what Lisa Mills used to say. She's like, I don't care to be recognized at the airport. I just want to be recognized at the bank. I love that. That's her goal. Not so that people are like, oh, it's you. Can I take a picture? But to be successful enough in your craft that the people at the bank go, that girl's killing it in the comedy game, So I really don't care either direction. But no, you're right. I can't imagine people who are super famous.
And then a situation happens.
Yeah. Anytime they have a health issue. I think Adam Sandler had a movie that was similar to that, where he was like a famous person in the movie who had just been diagnosed with cancer. And he's like walking through this lobby area or whatever. And I remember feeling like that's probably the most true, is one of the first films he did that he was serious in. And I remember thinking, how, like, what an honest, portrayal it must have been for him, because he's like in the lobby and people are like, oh my gosh, it's you, and he's trying to process that he's just been told he's going to die. And like, he doesn't acknowledge somebody right away. And they're like, we thought you were a jerk. We were told you were a jerk, whatever, because he wasn't giving them what they expected at the moment. And we truly do have friends who are recognized at airports.
Yeah. That
do have those moments where they have to be on. And if you do anything wrong, people are judgmental of it. That's why when I see the TikToks and the Instagrams and stuff where it's like, what so-and-so's really like. And you have people talking trash about celebrities. Oh yeah. I waited on their table at such and such, and this is how I'm always like, it says more about you that you got to go spout this story than it does about that particular celebrity. So, but yeah.
So let me tell you this story about Cloris Leachman. No, never.
Yeah. Go ahead. Anybody under 75 and Google who Cloris Leachman is.
Oh, she's been in some really great shows. She's Meemaw in the Raising Hope. I don't know if you ever saw that show. You should watch that show just one time. Just watch it. It's hilarious. Okay. So all of that. Now can we get to your tip?
Yeah. The tip of the week is don't delay. Don't delay. This has nothing to do with comedy. This has everything to do with health. I had all of the warning signs. I have been down the path where I have had to have dental work and things like that before. I had all the warning signs and I delayed taking care of myself. And I'm not going to beat myself up about it, but it definitely put myself and my husband in a position that if I would have just said, you know what, I may just have to meet you there and go to the dentist, the airplanes, you can cancel flights, you can change paths. Just take care of you, because you never know, something that started out very simple as, and I was just talking to a friend yesterday, the same thing, actually, something very similar happened to his wife. And she ended up in oral surgery and like at the hospital, and it was very serious. Just don't delay. When you feel it, when you know it, we have instincts get yourself checked out and don't let it carry on, because it's, when it got to the point literally where my breathing, my swallowing, all of that was starting to be, well, the swallowing 100% was compromised. If it hit breathing, it was a whole different situation.
Mm-hmm.
So, lesson learned for me, just get on it. Just get to, what if I would have showed up and they went, oh, you're fine, and I just took a flight the next day, that's fine. But it could have kept me and my husband from such a traumatic journey for days. And I still have the effects of it, and will for the next month or so, until I'm able to fully heal.
So I don't know if your tip should be called "Don't delay." I think it should be called "Don't be stubborn." I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I will say this about like women, we are caregivers, so we're not always really good about taking care of ourselves. And it's not a sign of weakness, it's a sign of wisdom to go ahead and just get checked out and make sure you're okay. So I'm grateful to God. I'm grateful to my friends. I'm grateful to the ER staff at at Blake's Hospital in Bradenton, Florida. And I'm grateful to Dr. Wright and all the people that have just, prayed for me and kept me going in what, could have been a pretty bad situation. So
remember, when things go wrong, turn to Dr. Wright.
Turn to Dr. Wright. That's right. That's right. Well, friends, listen. Okay, so we're going to get back to comedy conversations, but this has been a lot. We've been missing for a while, so we wanted to kind of fill you in. We're also a pretty transparent podcast, so happy to just kind of share with you guys where we've been. We would love for you to make sure that you're following us on Instagram and on Facebook at the Laugh Support Podcast. Follow Michelle and Michelle's Comedy. Follow me at Junebugs Comedy. If you're listening, go watch us. You can see all the cute little gifts that I got, and Michelle's Legos, and her butterfly bandana bunny ears. And we will be back next week with another episode of the Laugh Support Podcast. As I always say, Jesus and Junebug loves you. Michelle, tell them goodbye.
Hey, goodbye. Oh, you know what? You know how I have these Lego flowers? Did you know that flowers are very friendly? Yeah, because they always have new buds.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening. We'll catch you next time. Bye-bye.